Welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 2, Powers and Exponents. The Common Core standard we will be working on during this section is to write and evaluate numerical expressions involving whole number exponents. Alright, so to start off, we're going to learn some new vocab words. A power is a product of repeated factors. The base of a power is the repeated factor. And the exponent of a power indicates the number of times the base is used as a factor. To help you remember those, we're going to go over a couple examples here. So right here you see 3 to the 4th power. This whole thing is known as the power. The 3 is a bigger number, so we call it the base. The big number is the base. So remember B and B. The smaller number is the exponent. So we have 3 as a base and 4 as an exponent. All together, this is a power. This is the base. This is the exponent. That means that we're going to take 3 times 3 4 times. So we're going to do 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. This means that we have 4 3's that we're multiplying together. There's a couple of fancy ways to describe powers. If it's 3 to the 2nd power, you can also say that as 3 squared. 3 to the 3rd power can be said as 3 cubed. And then anything after 3 is just referred to as 3 to the 4th power, 3 to the 5th power, etc. These apply to numbers that are different than 3. So we could have 5 squared. We could have 7 cubed. Anything to the 3rd power is cubed. Anything to the 2nd power is squared. Moving on to example 1 here. Example 1 is going to teach us how to write expressions as powers. It says write each product as a power. So example A, these little dots are the same as a multiplication sign. We see that we have 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Now 4 is going to be our base because that's what we're multiplying. So we have 4, and our exponent is going to tell us how many 4's we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 4 to the 5th power. Okay, for example B, 12 is going to be our base, and then we need to see how many 12's do we have. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 12's. All right, there are 2 examples from the video that I'd like you to do here on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll come back for example 2 when you are ready. Example 2 says finding values of powers. So this means we want to figure out, what does 7 squared equal? So first we need to rewrite it as a multiplication problem. So 7 squared means we have 2 7's. So we have 7 times 7. We know that 7 times 7 equals 49, so our answer is 49. A common mistake students will make is to do 7 times 2. This is wrong because remember, this does not mean 7 times 2. This means that we have 2 7's that we're multiplying together. That might be a little bit tricky, but with some practice you'll get a hang of it. Example B for this says to solve 5 cubed. So first we're going to write it as a multiplication problem. 5 times 5 times 5, and we need to figure out what that equals. Well, I know that 5 times 5 is 25. And 25 times 5 equals 125. So our final answer for that would be 125. There's a couple of examples that go along with that. I'd like you to complete these on your own. We will check them in class when you are ready. And then we'll move on to example 3, which is identifying perfect squares. A perfect square is the square of a whole number. We refer to that as a perfect square. So that's another important vocab word from this lesson. For example, it says determine whether each number is a perfect square. They give us 64. We know that 8 times 8 equals 64. So we could rewrite this as 8 squared. So yes, 64 is a perfect square. The next example we have is 20. We know that we have 1 times 20. We could do 4 times 5 to equal 20. We could do 2 times 10. We cannot rewrite any of these to be a squared exponent like we did in example A. So no, 20 is not a square number. It is not perfectly square. I would like you to try and determine whether 50 and 9 are square numbers here, and then we'll check them in class together. And then I would also like you to do these 6 on your own problems. They go over examples 1 through 3 from this section, and if you have any questions, go ahead and write those down, and you will have a chance to ask me or a classmate tomorrow in class.